1. Sander Jain's cabin siege. 1. Sander Jain's cabin siege. Clayoquot Sound, mid-July 2014. It was mid-July 2014, and I had paddled deep into the remote fjords of Clayoquot Sound on Vancouver Island's wild west coast. The place felt like another world. Towering cliffs draped in ancient rainforest, the water glassy and silent, eagles circling overhead. I found this hidden cabin tucked against the trees near a river estuary, completely off the grid. No roads, no people for miles. I was there alone for days, kayaking, journaling, breathing in the pure wilderness. Everything felt peaceful at first, almost sacred. The days were sunny, the nights calm under a blanket of stars. But on the 5th day, something shifted. I lay down for an afternoon nap and woke to the soft golden light of early evening filtering through the windows. The usual sounds, the lap of water, distant birds, were gone. Total silence. It pressed in like a weight. I stepped out onto the porch to brush my teeth, and that's when I heard it. Distant thuds, like massive rocks being flipped over in the intertidal zone below the cliffs. I told myself it was just a black bear hunting crabs or clams. Nothing unusual out here. As night fell, the sounds grew closer. One rock flip exploded with force, shaking the ground slightly, way too near the cabin. My pulse jumped. I froze. Toothbrush still in my mouth, hairs rising on my arms. No lights anywhere, no boats, no planes overhead. I was utterly alone. The silence returned, thicker now, unnatural. Then the stomping started. Slow, deliberate, heavy footsteps circling the cabin. Each one vibrated through the wooden floor like an earthquake in slow motion. My heart hammered so hard I could feel it in my throat. The stomps paused right outside the front porch, close enough I could almost smell the damp earth and something else. Musky, animal, overwhelming. Suddenly the most horrifying vocalizations erupted. They weren't animal howls or human screams. They were erratic, almost tribal, like something trying desperately to form words but failing. Deep guttural roars mixed with sharp warning shouts that echoed across the water. "Clear out! Go away! Leave! We are here!" It felt intentional, directed at me. My blood ran cold. I dropped to the floor, crawled under my sleeping bag, and lay there trembling in the pitch black, sweat soaking through my clothes despite the chill. Two enormous shapes sprinted past the windows, dark silhouettes against the faint moonlight, massive bipedal, moving with terrifying speed. The ground shook as they vanished into the forest. The stomping faded. The vocalizations died away, but the fear stayed. I barely slept, every creak of the cabin making me jump. At dawn, I frantically texted for a float plane evacuation, left half my gear behind, and never looked back. That remote corner of Clayoquot Sound belongs to something else, something that knows we're intruders and wants us gone. 2. Mike King's Streamside Standoff, Strathcona Provincial Park / Campbell River Mountains, summer 1904. In the summer of 1904, seasoned lumberman Mike King ventured far beyond the headwaters of Campbell River into the untouched mountains of what is now Strathcona Provincial Park. He was alone, timber cruising for the best stands of cedar and fir, days from any settlement. The forest was dense, primeval, moss-covered giants, fallen logs like bridges over rushing streams, the air thick with the scent of wet earth and pine. One afternoon, King pushed through thick underbrush to a small stream and froze. Squatting on the bank was a creature unlike anything he'd ever seen. It stood over 6 feet tall when it rose, covered in reddish-brown hair, long, powerful arms hanging below its knees, broad shoulders tapering to a low-sloping forehead. Its eyes were piercing, intelligent, almost human in their gaze. The thing was calmly washing bundles of wild onions or grass roots in the water, sorting them neatly into piles like a person preparing food. King raised his rifle instinctively, finger on the trigger. But something stopped him. This wasn't a bear. It grunted softly, half-human sounds of effort, then stood fully upright. Easily 240 pounds of muscle and sinew, their eyes locked. For a long moment, neither moved. The creature's face showed surprise, maybe fear, maybe curiosity. Then it let out a low, alarmed cry and bounded up the steep bank with impossible speed, using its long arms to swing through the brush like an ape, vanishing in seconds. King lowered his gun, heart pounding. He approached the stream and found fresh tracks, broad, short feet, with long, spreading toes, gorilla-like but clearly bipedal. The prints were deep in the soft mud, proof it was real and heavy. That night, as he camped alone, chilling howls echoed through the valleys, deep, mournful, carrying for miles. The local indigenous people refused to enter those mountains, whispering of the Masache Ikta, the bad thing that lived there. King never forgot those eyes staring back at him, the intelligence behind them. He had come face to face with something half man, half beast, and it had chosen to flee rather than fight. But he knew it could have done either. 3. Kyuquot hunter, Joe, shoots the club-wielding Sasquatch, Kyuquot Sound / West Vancouver Island area, approximately 1904 to 1905. Around 1904 or 1905, a Nucha-Nulth hunter from the Kyuquot people, known simply as Joe, was guiding two white men, William McTavish from Nanaimo and his friend from Seattle, through the rugged wilds near Kyuquot Sound and up toward Campbell River. They were exploring for timber and game, moving through berry thickets and dense coastal forest, where the trees grew so close the sunlight barely reached the ground. Joe spotted it first, a tall, reddish-brown hairy figure, easily 7 feet or more, standing in a clearing. In its massive hand, it gripped an enormous wooden club, thick as a man's thigh. The creature was chasing a full-grown black bear through the underbrush, swinging the club with terrifying force. The bear crashed into the berries, panicked, and the hairy giant pursued without hesitation, roaring in deep, guttural bursts. Joe raised his rifle. He recognized it instantly from tribal stories. The Masache Ikta, the bad thing that lived in the mountains, a descendant perhaps of ancient escaped apes from Spanish ships long ago. Mistaking it for a threat, or driven by instinct, Joe fired. The shot cracked through the air and struck the creature in the shoulder. It let out a blood-curdling howl of pain and rage, staggering but not falling. Blood darkened its fur. For a split second, it turned toward Joe, eyes blazing with fury, then dropped the club and fled into the thick forest, crashing through branches like a wounded giant. The bear escaped in the chaos. Joe's companion stood stunned, the smell of gunpowder mixing with the creature's musky odor that lingered in the air. Hunters near Horne Lake, Qualicum, Port Alberni, all reporting the same fast, hairy wild man that could outrun anything and wield tools like a man. Joe carried the weight of that shot for years, knowing he had wounded something intelligent, something that might remember. 4. Arthur Dick's silent follower, Cormorant Island / Alert Bay Trails, January 2015, and repeat in 2019. In January 2015, Alert Bay resident Arthur Dick was walking his dog along a quiet trail on the east side of Cormorant Island, North Vancouver Island. The path wound through thick cedar and hemlock, damp from winter rain, the air heavy with salt from the nearby strait. It was late afternoon, light fading fast, shadows lengthening under the canopy. His dog, usually bold, suddenly froze, ears flat, tail tucked. Then it whimpered and squeezed between Arthur's legs, trembling violently. Arthur looked up and saw it, a tall, hairy figure standing silently just off the trail, watching. The creature didn't move aggressively, but its presence was overwhelming. Arthur's skin prickled. Every instinct screamed to run, but he stood rooted, staring back. After what felt like forever, it simply turned and melted into the trees without a sound. No footsteps, no branches snapping. Gone. Arthur had the exact same encounter again in 2019. Same trail, same silent stalker, same paralyzing fear. His dog reacted identically, hiding in terror. That year, other residents reported piercing howls at night, echoing from the forest edges behind the town. Sounds too loud, too deep for any wolf or cougar, vibrating through the body like they were inside you. One howl came at 5:30 a.m., right outside Arthur's house. So intense his hair stood on end. Some locals tied it to the ancient Zunukwa, the wild woman of the woods in Indigenous stories, who lurks on the edges of villages, watching, waiting. Arthur believes that's what followed him. Something ancient, intelligent, and very much still here. 5. Kennedy Lake Trail, Cam Face, West Coast Vancouver Island, near Tofino/Clayoquot, November 29th, recent year. A resident from Nanaimo set up a trail camera in a known remote hotspot near Kennedy Lake on Vancouver Island's west coast. Dense rainforest, logging roads overgrown, fog rolling in off the Pacific. The area has a long history of sightings, tall figures crossing roads at dusk, strange knocks in the night. On November 29th, the infrared motion trigger fired at night. When the owner checked the footage days later, one image stood out. A large, clear humanoid face staring directly into the lens. It was low to the ground, as if crouching in the brush, peering curiously or menacingly at the camera. Broad features, dark shaggy hair framing the face, eyes reflecting the flash with an eerie glow. No bare snout, no human outline. It was unmistakably something else. The creature had come close enough to investigate the strange device in its territory. The night vision captured every detail. The slight tilt of the head, the way the mouth hung slightly open, almost questioning. In the surrounding frames, shadows moved, branches swaying unnaturally, as if more than one presence lurked nearby. The owner felt a chill realizing it had been watched back. That single frozen moment on the trail cam turned a quiet forest into something alive with unseen watchers, reminding anyone who sees it, out there, you're never truly alone.